What's up, guys? Kamikaze Fox coming to you once again from SRL. Getting ready to kick off our winter special, the 1v1 tournament, winner take all, bracket style racing. Sandro on the live chat, and we will probably have him within the booth with us. And you guys will have to bear with me. This is my first time doing the 1v1 winter tournament. We've got the SRL League on there. Fonorio, sup. I believe that's good old Anthony Johnson as we get ready to go heads up racing. 14 drivers going to try and take it all. And it looks like first up we're going to have Noel Rosa versus Jamie Jägerstrom here. There'll be 14 drivers participating in this year's tournament. We're going to run all of the races here in Austria. No qualifying. 3-lap shootout. 3-lap shootout in Austria. I can only imagine some of these drivers are going to be running at no wings whatsoever. So, and this race is getting ready to kick off here in the next few minutes. So we'll try and run down some of these rules for the 1v1 tournament. So the SRL League 1v1 tournament acts as a standalone special event that is hosted once a year. It is not a part of the championship. No points will be awarded for today's activities, and 2 drivers will go head-to-head against each other in a 1-lap race on a selected circuit, and the winner progresses to the next round. So I guess the minimum you can set in the game is 3 laps, but it looks like we're only going to do a 1-lap shootout. So 16 drivers are supposed to participate. This year it's only going to be 14 drivers, unfortunately. And they all have to be full-time drivers. None of the backup drivers, reserve drivers, or part-time drivers can participate. And the full-time drivers will be prioritized in the selection of who can participate. Now, every driver has to participate for the team they are signed to in the SR League Formula 1 series. So as you see, Jamie Jägerstrom is a Williams driver. He will be driving a Williams car today. So the round matchups have been decided by a random draw. The random draw will be done by an AI program. And a video of the process and matchup results of the random draw will be posted during the week leading up to the event. So none of this is new to the drivers. They all know exactly who they were going to be racing against, when they were going to be racing. The tournament consists of 4 rounds. So obviously you have the starting round, then you have the quarterfinals, a semifinal, and then finally the finale. The winner of each matchup will advance to the next round and will be matched up against another advanced driver. The matchups following the round of 16, which are set by the random draw, will be decided through the simple tournament tree system. The tournament tree will be released following the random draw and will be uploaded throughout the event. So we will have a live update, at least for me to look at. The race lasts exactly 1 lap. The in-game race distance is set to 3 laps due to this being the shortest available race distance. So you can only set it to 3 laps, but we're only going to do a 1-lap shootout. A standing start will be performed, no formation lap. The race finishes after the first lap. This is in-game race, would theoretically continue, but the result will be taken following after lap 1. Purposely caused cautions and incidents following the race finish, I believe, can be penalized. The drivers are responsible to retire manually through the menu following the lap. The manual retirement has to be done within a minute following the finish. This assures a quick progression to the next event. Failing to do so will result in a penalty. So the starting grid order will be set by who is lower in the SRL League Formula 1 Drivers' Championship. The driver lower in the standings will always start from the pole position. Obviously, this year's matchup is going to take place in Spielberg, Austria. Every matchup will be run in sunny conditions. All other settings not mentioned will be set to the SRL League F1 Grand Prix settings. And then obviously the main rules from the SRL League F1 rules and regulations are going to be in effect for each race. The SRL League race stewards will lead investigations during the event. Incidents will automatically be investigated by the stewards. No driver reports are necessary. Steward decision will be announced in the dedicated Discord channel and the SRL League F1 live broadcast on the YouTube channel or by Sandro Dulia. So if there is an on-track incident, it will be investigated immediately and it will be posted as quickly as humanly possible. So there we have the live updated bracket tree. And we've got Tibbs24 on the live chat saying, "Let's go, Max." Anthony Johnson's here. David Rod looks like he is going to be watching for the time being. And Nick is here. Nick wants in. Let's see if I can get Nick in real quick. Okay, lights out. Time to run what you brung. That was quick, and they're off. Jägerstrom in the Williams, Noel Rosa in the Kick Sauber, and Jägerstrom's going to have the slipstream coming down the short straightaway here. Obviously no DRS here on the opening lap, so this is going to be all or nothing. Jägerstrom to the inside of Noel Rosa. He cuts the corner just a little bit. Noel Rosa still down the lead here, and Jägerstrom still working that slipstream. In the Williams, going to dive to the inside. Late braking. He's going to slide in. They're side by side as they come out of the corner. Jägerstrom trying to get that power down. Noel Rosa's going to have the inside advantage, but he loses out to Jägerstrom in that corner. Oh, and Noel Rosa's going to get a little bit of aero wash coming through that corner as he runs his nose right across the back of Jägerstrom. Only a couple more corners to go. Jägerstrom out in front. Noel Rosa had a good start, but it looks like he's going to lose out. And Jamie Jägerstrom is going to win the first round here with a 108.540. Oh, and Noel crashes across the line. And Jägerstrom. So that is going to do it for the first one. So Jägerstrom and Noel Rosa. Rosa losing out on that one. So that will advance Jägerstrom into the next round. And now we do have Nick joining us here in the booth. So congratulations to Jägerstrom on that. And Nick, are you participating in this year's event?
I am not actually. Good day, Lance. Good to speak to you again. But yeah, unfortunately, it was a bit of a silly reason. But I actually wanted to participate, but because it's a yearly event for which, of course, we need the whole sign-up tree and all that for everybody who goes through to the semi-finals and all that. The sign-ups actually closed on Wednesday, and I didn't realize that, so I was too late to actually sign up. So I missed my chance to actually participate this year. So unfortunately, I was called out by the fact that the sign-ups were a bit earlier than usual, because usually I always check the Discord on Friday, and yeah, I didn't think about the fact that, of course, it wasn't a normal weekend this Saturday. So yeah, that called me out, and I'm going to be spectating from the booth today, so unfortunately I won't be able to participate, which is a bit of a shame, because last year I actually really enjoyed the format and I came very close to actually winning, because in the end I was in the final 1v1 with Max Mulder. Unfortunately I bottled the final one and Max actually ended up winning the inaugural 1v1 tournament. So I wanted to get revenge this year, but yeah, unfortunately I'm going to have to wait another year.
And speaking of Max Mulder, last year's winner, he is set to race next.
Good to see Jamie Jägerstrom getting the first one on Noah Rosso. It's always really close, of course, just having a single lap race. It's so short and you have to be like so explosive to just go all in for a single lap. It's pretty unique in that way.
And also what's ironic to me is that Max Mulder won last year's race. And years past, we used to do the Snowball Derby with the rally cars and project cars too, and he won that. So he's got the capabilities of winning these races, but he hasn't been able to put it together in an actual points-paying F1 race to take that maiden win.
Yeah, that's a good point, because he even also won the 2.4 Hours of Le Mans twice, I believe. And he did actually win a single race in F1 in Imola, I believe, a couple seasons ago. But yeah, it seems like Max's his strong point is definitely the special events, it seems.
So he's going to be going up against Season 2 champion Alex Benarachetti, and you and him obviously have a lot of history there, going all the way back to Season 2. And then he made a brief appearance back in Season 6, and then he's come back again this year. So Benarachetti, Mulder. Benarachetti's been out of it a little bit. Mulder's been a little bit more of a mainstay for the last few seasons, so we'll see where this one goes.
Yeah, indeed, lots of memories with Alex Benarachetti. It's good to see him back after so many years, back on F1 24. And of course, he is nowhere near at the level what he was on F1 2014, when he was very, very fast. And also, yeah, back then he was a lot more like fanatic and putting a lot of hours into the game. And now with the way he's, I think he was studying at uni as well the last couple of years, so that's why he was kind of out of league racing, and he only just returned and picked up the game again. So yeah, it's not really probably representative of the level that he used to be on, but it's definitely great to see the Colombian back in SRL, because it's almost nostalgic to see his name, because Season 2 feels so long ago, and I've had so many good races with Alex. Like, we've had some amazing fights, fighting for the lead, and it was often Alex actually coming out on top. I used to be stronger at the first half of the race, and then I would think that I'd won, and then Alex would put me under so much pressure and pass me and still win, even though I was almost expecting to win. That was even the story of my very first race actually in SRL in Barcelona Season 2. I qualified on pole, and I started out leading the way, and I was like, wow, this is going really well, maybe I can even win on my first race. But I didn't expect Alex to just be so quick at the end. He was always so fast on the harder compound at the end. Sometimes also using even the softer compound at the end and using a split strategy. But yeah, lots of good battles and memories with Alex from Season 2.
Lots of chatter on the live chat. Tibbs24 saying Max better win. He didn't stay up for nothing. Lesky coming on to say otherwise he's washed up if he doesn't win. So, and Senna Haywire making a claim that he will win his round when it's his turn to race. So we'll see how that goes. Tibbs24 doesn't think that's going to happen, but getting ready to start the next round here. Max Mulder against Alex Benarachetti. Benarachetti Season 2 champion, as we just heard Nick talk about. Mulder's been a mainstay in SRL F1 and the Sports Car Series and the Snowball Derby for many years now. So, one lap shootout. And again, no formation lap, and we'll be a little bit more prepared this time. I won't be trying to send Nick an invite at the
Apologies
start.
for that.
I was trying to get it in as quickly as I could.
Yeah, good to see Sky Schoenemeyer still in the live stream as well, because of course with his time zone it's good that he is still actually staying up. Although the fact that he's saying that he stayed up, does it mean that he slept through or like kept awake during the entire night? Because it's morning for you, isn't it? And for Sky.
Very well may be the case.
Yeah, I think Sky just did it all night. Well, respect for still sticking around to watch his 1v1 Sky. And yeah, good to see Alexi and Senna also still tuning in.
Looks like Noah Smith is tuning in as well. Yeah. He states he hasn't slept, so he'll go to sleep as soon as he sees what Max can do throughout the course of this tournament.
Yeah, while I was saying that, I was like, hang on, it's morning, isn't it? Over in the States. Oh well. Yeah, let's see if Max Mulder can defeat the former SRL champion Alex Benechetti. I think, considering Max is a lot more in tune with the game, I think, yeah, we can probably expect him to be fast. But of course, Alex is starting on pole position and will throw everything at it to defend as much as possible.
So lights out in their way in a puff of smoke. Benerochetti gets a good start, and Max falling behind about half a car length already. Whoa, late on the brakes goes Max, though, and he's going to get the run down the straightaway with the slipstream. Then again, no DRS. Benerochetti all the way to the inside, trying to cover that ground. Mulder pulls out, and he's going to deep dive in there. Lock up by Benerochetti. Oh, and they make contact.
Oh. Great block pass there for Benechetti. They're side by side along the back straight. Benechetti is going to have the inside for the brake zone, but Max tries to go for the outside.
Whoa,
He brakes really
big
late.
move
Oh,
by
they
Max
touch.
around the outside.
It looked like Benechetti had the defending line there, but Max was so late on the brakes.
Oh, and they make more contact.
Wow, this is really box office here. Gloves are off. Though Max now holds the advantage coming into turn 7 and 8. Now with just 2 corners remaining.
And Max just lost it, and he's in the gravel.
Max completely out of shape there on the exit of turn 8, and it's going to be Alex Benechetti to win the 1v1 against Max Mulder.
Wow, that was very uncharacteristic, and I can only imagine these guys are running as little downforce as possible. And just a bit of snap oversteer through that left-right chicane, and Max lost it, unfortunately. I am actually kind of surprised. Last year's winner, we talked about how he always seems to be able to pull it off for these special events, but uncharacteristic mistake there, and commentator's curse.
Yeah, indeed. What a mistake for Max. He's going to be kicking himself, but really good to see Alex Benechetti progressing into the next session now. But yeah, it looked like Max had it covered there. It looked like he was gonna win this 1v1, but he completely lost the rear end. Yeah, probably also indeed running very low downforce.
I don't know why the game says Max won when he retired, and he ran a 115 versus a 110, but sure.
Yeah, that's the game's logic. Maybe he retired 49 thousandths of a second later. Or something like that.
Looks like that might have been what it was. Benerochetti is officially moving on. Your Season 2 champion. Going to move on to the next round.
Yeah, Noah Smith pointing out it was like bumper cars. Indeed it was, because they were really going at it. Those were some really aggressive moves, giving each other damage. I think they both had a bit of damage there at the end, but in a single lap race like this, you kind of have to be ultra aggressive to try and stay in front and keep attacking the other driver.
A lot of chatter on the live chat now. Tibbs obviously upset that, Max didn't pull it off. And Noah Smith and Alesky going a little bit back and forth. Alesky saying that was absolute cinema. That was the first 3/4 of that lap was impressive. I'm surprised they didn't take each other out. So we'll wait for the. Sam Brandt says comedy gold, and Tim straight to sleep I go.
Yeah, at last he can actually get some sleep now. So Jamie Jägerström and Alex Benechetti have now taken the first 2 wins, and Jamie Jägerström is now going to be going head-to-head against Jerome Adamaco. And of course, for the next session, we will now have Dion Stahl, I believe, going up against Noah Smith. Yes. So that's also an interesting combination. Of course, Dion Stahl, a very experienced driver in SRL, as is Noah Smith, to be honest. And of course, Smith has really shown a lot of speed as well over the last 2 seasons, really. And yeah, they're both definitely pretty complete drivers in SRL, I'd say. So yeah, also interesting to see the lap time difference because Max and Alex were so aggressive with each other and losing each other so much time that their lap time was 1.5 seconds slower than Jamie Jagerstrom's lap time from the first session. So Jamie Jagerstrom did a 108.5 and Alex Banicelli a 110.0, which really shows how much they were influencing each other, let's say.
All right, is my headset working again?
Oh yeah, now it is working.
Apparently I have some connectivity issues.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry if I spoke through you then.
No,
But
you're
yeah,
good.
that's
Apparently
terrible.
nothing was coming through.
Oh, not okay.
I don't know if it's coming through on the live or on the stream though.
I don't think so because I didn't hear you say anything.
All right. Well, you take the wheel for a hot second.
That's fine. So yeah, we're just waiting for Noah Smith to join the session to go up against Dion Stahl. And then after that, we will have Sandro Julius and Sam Brandt going at it for the 4th session. And of course, those are also probably the most experienced drivers, I'd say. Of course, Sandro Julius. Well, nah, if you exclude Sandro and Dion, Sam has been there for a very long time as well. And actually, they've all been part of SRL since the very first season. And I can't remember who actually made their debut earlier, Dion or Sam, but I think it's very similar in terms of their experience. I think, of course, Dion Stahl is going to have more SRL starts because he has been a full-time driver since the first season, whereas Sam has taken a couple of sabbaticals or has had a couple of seasons where he was a part-time driver or a reserve driver, and he's only been back for this season as a full-time driver with Red Bull as my teammate, actually. After
Okay, so
Durham
you can hear me,
retired
right?
last year. I can hear you, yes.
Okay, can you hear me on the stream is going to be a better question.
Yeah, I reckon so. If I can hear you, then probably you're also hearable in the live stream.
All right. I think I might be okay now. Race getting ready to start. We'll try this again. Yeah, I think it's fixed. So thanks for covering that for me.
No problem. Yeah, I think Fionora is saying you're good as well in the live chat. We've got Ivan Prita tuning in as well.
All right.
So,
All right.
anybody who wants to stay updated with all the progress, you can view the live bracket on the notification with the link on top of the live chat, where you can see that now for this 3rd round we're gonna have Noah Smith against Dion Stahl.
Yeah, we should say a big thank you to Sandro, working behind the scenes. Not only is he trying to keep the bracket updated, but he's getting the drivers in and out of the parties and lobbies and kind of coordinating everything behind the scenes. And he's actually going to be racing as well. So Sandro playing quadruple duty today.
Yeah, hats off to him, because that's definitely very, very busy to keep track of.
So, and Dion Stahl's going to get the pole position.
So Ferrari against Williams, Dion Stahl against Noah Smith. Smith gets the run there at the start. A really
Smith's
good start
got a great
there.
start up the hill.
Yeah.
Locks up the right front. A little bit of a comeback by Stahl as they come down the straightaway here, and he's got a good run. They're going to be side by side heading down into turn 3, but Smith's going to have the inside line, but Stahl's got the momentum on the outside. Can he outbrake him? Not this time. Going to try and keep that power down on the outside. They're still side by side down this back straightaway into the downhill right-hander. Smith's going to have the inside line, the more preferred line. They're almost rubbing shoulders. Another big lockup by Smith there. Crossover move by Stahl, but he's going to be too far back to try and make it work.
Yeah, Dion Stahl 2 tenths behind now as we go into turn 6. It's very difficult to stay close to the car in front in this fast section of the circuit. Of course, the dirt here is going to play effect as well. So it looks like Noah Smith is going to claim the victory in this 3rd session in this 1v1. 2024 tournament through the penultimate and final corner. It's going to be Noah Smith to defeat Dion Staal here in this 1v1. Dion Staal just to put salt into the wounds to get some 2-second time penalty on the exit of the final corner. Oh, and smashes it to the Williams as well in turn 1.
Well, as I say, there's no SRL race complete without a Dion Staal timing penalty. So
it had to be.
But good effort by Dion. Gave it a good run down into turn 3, and now they are playing Demolition Derby out here at turn 1.
They had to ruin it. It was so clean. That was definitely a lot cleaner than what we saw from Alex Benechetti and Max Mulder in the previous round.
Yeah, a lot less aggressiveness in that exchange between those two. So good effort by Staal. Didn't get the start that he wanted. Had a little bit of a comeback heading down into turn 3. Couldn't quite make it stick around the outside, though. Again, the game, Dion Staal is not your winner. It'll be Noah Smith that is moving on to the next round.
So, despite not having the fast lap and having a time penalty, he still wins, according to the game's logic. And gets 13 points as well. That also seems so random. That just sums up EA.
It's a half points because you didn't finish the race.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, that would make sense, I guess. Yeah. That does make sense, actually. Although, still 13 and 10 is pretty odd, because 10 would be 20, even though it's 18 for second.
I do think we need to make a note. I think we only had 14 drivers actually sign up this year instead of the regular 16. So I believe it's Jerome Adamaco and David Rod have already been advanced into the next round based on points. So Jerome Adamaco third in the championship point standings, I believe, and David Rod, I believe, is top 5. I didn't pull up the stats after the last round, but I still think Tim Ventic is still second in the points, but not by very much over Jerome Adamaco, and obviously your points leader, Jensen Randall. I don't think he's participating today.
Correct about all that, yeah. So also, indeed, Jensen Randall is not participating. Tim Ventic is second in the standings, and Jerome Adamaco still just about in P3 ahead of David Rod and Senodoulis. So 11 points between Adamaco and David Rod.
So Sam Brandt is up next, another longtime staple with SRL. Raced back at the beginning of SRL. He took a bit of a sabbatical there for a couple years. He's been making his comeback at the end of last season and into this season, and he's been getting a little better each race and been putting some points on the board for Team Red Bull. So good to see Sam participating in today's race. Kind of weird not seeing him in a Haas, though.
It still is, yeah. But indeed, yeah, after... excuse me, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, after Sam returned last year, he was struggling a lot in a lot of races, and he was pretty far off the pace. And even at the start of this season, he was pretty far off. But he has really slowly improved bit by bit, and in the last few races, he has really secured himself as like a midfield driver and indeed scoring some points. So good to see him getting back into the flow of league racing again. And yeah, especially in like Las Vegas, Abu Dhabi, and the rounds we've had also in Austria, I believe he has been in the points in the top 10. So yeah, it's good to see that he is starting to get decent at the game again, and you know, being a solid midfield driver. And then of course Senodoulis is very well matured as an SRL driver now. I think he is. It seems like he's getting stronger every season, and yeah, he's just very consistent, even getting podiums pretty consistently, which is really impressive. And yeah, just scoring lots of points in top 5s, even last year as well. And he's had to adjust to this game, which is very different in terms of the handling model compared to last year. And I know that Sandro really disliked the new, what they call dynamic handling on F1 24, but it seems like he has adjusted to it pretty well now, and he's definitely very fast on this game as well.
Well, he's certainly one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent driver in SRL. I mean, he did have a DNF as we get ready to launch here. And they are gone. Sandro Dulius in the second spot in the Ferrari. Red Bull is going to be the Sam Brandt machine. And Sam Brandt's got a good start over Sandro, and he's actually pulling away from Sandro, even though Sandro's got the slipstream coming down the straightaway here.
Oh, Dulius tries to go to the inside there, but Sam completely covers it off. Goes really
tight.
tight.
And a crossover move by Sandro. And it looks like Sam might have ruined his whole race with that move, trying to take that inside line away from Sandro. Lost all of his momentum going into 3 and out of 3.
Yeah, Sam Brandt went really early to the inside there and completely messed up the line to try and defend that position. And indeed, Dulius went back across to the left to take a sweeping line into the corner and completely capitalized on the exit there to get the run on the Red Bull. So yeah, Sandro Dulius is definitely gonna take the victory in this 1v1 here, because Sam was too busy looking in his mirrors, it seems, and really messed up turn 3 in the process.
Oh, no, 2-second penalty.
Well, good measure. Oh, and he crashes into the wall. He's just given up. So well done to Sandro Dulius. He's gonna take with a 108.8. That's the fast that we've seen as well so far today. So Dulius will progress into the next 1v1, and Sam Brandt has been defeated.
Yeah, so congratulations to Sandro on that. And you know, as we were talking, and like I said, he's one of the most consistent drivers in SRL. Rarely has a DNF. And you're right. I think the last couple of seasons he's really progressed as a driver, finishing on the podium more regularly. He's been finishing higher in the point standings. The irony is not lost on me that he is the league owner and league president and has yet to ever win a championship in his own league. So I think that says a lot about him as the owner and president, that he doesn't give himself any special treatment.
Yeah, I think he's still sometimes getting nightmares from season 1 when he lost the championship by a single point.
Yes, the old Felipe Massa syndrome.
Yeah. But no, I definitely agree on what you said there, and yeah, it's definitely good to see that he's performing well and that he is adjusted to the game, and also to see that, you know, he is taking it seriously and also not indeed letting himself benefit from any rules or whatever. Even though it is his league, he's definitely treating it as, you know, a professional competition and, you know, treating everybody the same way. So he will move on to the quarterfinals now. But first, we're gonna have Pablo Bass against Ivan Brito.
Oh, this will be an interesting race. Ivan Brito, a big crowd favorite, usually has some people tune in to watch him race. A bit of a gentleman racer, doesn't score a lot of points, but oftentimes if he's got a DNF, he doesn't take anybody with him. He races everybody pretty clean and often gets a DNF because of his own mistakes. So Pablo Baz has shown flashes of speed throughout the course of this season, but hasn't really been able to find the consistency to make it work and put points on the board.
Yeah, so Pablo Baz is 13th in the championship. So he will start behind Ivan Brito, who is outside of the top 20.
So Anthony Johnson on the live chat referring to the Sandro and Sam Brandt race. Is this what F125 is going to look like with Max and Hamilton? Hamilton obviously moving into the Ferrari for next season. Max still going to be in the Red Bull. And I don't know, F1's a crapshoot right now as far as I'm concerned. I don't feel like any team particularly has the strongest car and strongest driver combination. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going into the next season in real life F1.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's good for the sport to not have a single team, of course, where it's clear that they are the fastest. And of course, we did expect it at the start of this year, of last season, where we thought Red Bull really had the advantage, but they really started falling through in the second half of the season, with McLaren and Ferrari getting stronger. And yeah, a very interesting question, whether we're going to see Verstappen and Hamilton going at it again in 2025. I really wonder, but definitely also the McLarens are going to be fast, and it's really good to have an unpredictable season again, where it's really hard to say who's going to be the strongest at the start of the season. And even, of course, last year with many different race winners, so it's good to see that there's so much variety and certainty, unpredictability in Formula One. And
I mean, if I had to
I
base
really wonder. I would
anything
love to see it.
off of last season, I mean, Max is, to me, the best driver in the field, but he does not have the best car. And McLaren
Yeah, I
probably
think
has
you're
the
right about
best
that.
car, but I don't think Lando is quite on the same level as Max. And
That's right.
it's hard to
I
judge
think you're right on that.
Lewis's season based off of the car that was given to him. But I think Lewis is seasoned enough, even if he doesn't have the best car. I still think he can squeeze a little bit more out of the car than most other drivers. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what Ferrari gives Lewis in terms of a car next year, because, you know, Charles Leclerc is supposed to be the A driver, but you're bringing in a 7-time world champion. So it's, who are you going to make the car more suited for?
Yeah, that's definitely a good point, and no doubt that Hamilton is a very gifted driver, but of course he's also not getting any younger, and of course Charles Leclerc is a younger driver, so might also have a lot or even more potential, but of course there's no denying about Hamilton's achievements and that he is a really, really good driver despite his age, and yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how Leclerc and Hamilton are going to compare as well, and indeed also how they're going to develop the car and who they're going to listen to in terms of feedback, because of course it's always the case of the team kind of building the car around the knee of the driver, and yeah, I think if Ferrari can have a strong package, then maybe we can see Leclerc and Hamilton really mixing it at the front with the Red Bulls and the McLarens, and indeed probably, especially at the end of last year, the McLaren seemed to be the fastest package overall. And of course Norris and Piastri, very solid drivers. I think Piastri also has even more potential than Norris, considering he's only in his second season last year, and but of course Norris can be really fast as well. And also, of course, we had the announcement of Liam Lawson moving up to Red Bull, and Isaac Hadjar going to Visa Cash App Racing Bulls from Formula 2. And of course, Gabriel Bortoleto making his debut with Sauber. Lots of rookies, 6 in total actually, if you include Oliver Behrman as well. But yeah, and also a cool thing about Isaac Hadjar, I think he might be a little bit unlikable sometimes. Although one thing that is really cool is that he also used to do league racing on F1. Like he used to be in PSGL on F1 2020, for example, in the Split 1 class.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty cool to see a driver coming from F1 league racing, partially, into Formula 1. And of course he was already racing in junior series as well back then. But still, it's really cool that he used to be very involved with sim racing.
So here we
getting
go.
ready
Pablo
for
Baz
Pablo Baz against Ivan Brito.
Ivan Brito in the Mercedes, Pablo in the Visa Cash App Red Bull. That's still a terrible name for a race team. Oh, and there's contact already. And that's going to probably cause some wing damage. And Ivan Brito, I don't know if he braked. I don't think he braked a little early. I think Pablo just going in a little hot, but he's got a run coming down the straightaway. Going to try and go around the outside. Ivan's going to squeeze him. Pretty clean through there, and it looks like you've definitely got some wing damage on Pablo's car. That might help him on the straightaways, but it's going to hurt him coming into these corners. And again, around the outside, Pablo's going to try and make it work. A little bit of a lockup from Ivan Brito. Oh, and Pablo's in the gravel, and that's going to cost him. That's going to do it. Ivan Brito can walk away at this point.
Yeah,
Pablo's still within a second, but I don't think it's going to work for him.
Very good defensive driving for Ivan Brito there. Also in turn 3, he was just delaying the turn in just ever so slightly, but he still kept it clean. And they didn't make contact, but he just ruined the line a little bit there for Pablo Baz. And he tried the same defending tactic there into turn 5. So Ivan Brito is going to take the win here and will also move into the quarterfinals.
So congratulations to Ivan Brito and a 109.928. So congratulations to Ivan. Moving on to the next round, and we've got Alex Benarichetti on the live chat saying, Nick, 1v1 whenever you want, mate. Shades of Season 2.
Anytime, Alex. Just hit me up.
So Ivan Brito, congratulations to him. He's been a staple in SRL for a number of years at this point. Like I said, he's a crowd favorite. I mean, he often, if he has a DNF, he rarely takes any other driver with him. And some brilliant defensive driving on his part in a lot of races. So good to see him moving on to the next round, Pablo Baz, a very fast driver, but again, not able to put it all together, unfortunately. So Pablo saying he confused the pedal, I guess, on his rig. So
Oh,
I don't know
that
if he's 2
explains
feet
it.
driving or 1 foot driving, but he didn't brake very much going into turn one.
I reckon he probably has a 3-pedal set and maybe pressed the clutch accidentally. I actually know that some drivers also assign the clutch as the brake to have a lighter pedal because some don't really like to really have to stamp on the brakes to get to 100% brake pressure. And of course you can also adjust it with the brake saturation and sensitivity and all that, but yeah. I guess he confused the clutch with the brake or something like that.
And Alesky's happy for Ivan, so that's good to see.
So
Team
now
Mercedes.
for this final wildcard entry, we're going to have Senna Herweyer against Robin Hersthagen. So this is going to be the final 1v1 until we get the 4 groups that have moved into the quarterfinals.
Wow, this will be an interesting race because, I mean, not to sound crude, but neither one of these guys are the fastest drivers in the bunch. Senna has obviously had his issues over the past couple of years, not being able to finish a race. Robin Herterstegen, to his credit, often finishes a race. Unfortunately, often finishes outside of the points. So I think speed-wise, these two guys are very evenly matched as far as their performance. And I would like to think over one lap, both of them would be able to finish the race.
Yeah, surely they could finish the single lap. But yeah, indeed. Yeah, we'll see. I'm also interested in this one with Senna Herweyer and Robin Hersthagen. And they might be pretty evenly matched indeed. So it's definitely an interesting pair for this final 1v1 in the wildcard entry. And it seems like both of them are ready as well, so we can start in a couple seconds. So I can't actually check which driver is going to have the preference on the starting grid because my list there only includes the top 20, and unfortunately Senna and Robin are both outside of that in the overall championship standings in the F1 series.
We will leave that to Sandro. I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
So I would imagine if it comes down to, I say neither one of them have points, I would imagine whoever has the best finish would be the one that would be considered starting in second.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because your championship position is indeed based on your best finish result if it's not inside the points.
So if Robin has a best finish of 11th versus Senna, who may have a best finish of 13th, then we would give pole position to... it says highest finishing position will start. So Senna's on pole. Okay.
Yeah. So I think Max is actually saying that his Fanatec wheel had like a bit of a glitch in the force feedback and completely jolted the wheel to the left. So it might not have been that he lost the car, it might have been a force feedback issue there. Which is very unfortunate for him because I think he just upgraded to a new wheel. So
I mean, it did seem a bit. I mean, obviously, it was a little uncharacteristic. It was a very snap oversteer type moment. I don't know if maybe he got too much curbing and the game got confused with what was going on, but
yeah.
I know the force feedback can be a little tricky on some of these wheels, especially if you don't have them calibrated to your liking.
Yeah, definitely, and I think you're right about. He probably took the curbs, and he was saying like he upgraded from a Thrustmaster T300, I believe, to a direct drive, and like the curb effect was so violent that it completely, just threw the wheel to the left, which caught him out. So, yeah, probably wrong or too heavy force feedback settings with the curb effects there, which made him lose the car, which is very unfortunate.
And we see Senna is ready to roll, so not sure if we're waiting on Herterstegen or we're waiting for the go-ahead from Sandro. I'm sure Sandro's probably updating the list live. So again, if you want to click on the link at the top of the live chat, you get your live updated tournament bracket. This is the last wild card round before we go into the quarterfinals, where we will finally see Jerome Adamako and David Rod. And I got to say, with everything that's going on, I mean, those are actually my two, I would venture to say, are probably going to end up in the final, would be those two.
Yeah, good shout. So yeah, indeed, yeah. So Max, he's using a Fanatec 8 Newton meter direct drive, and I'm using a Fanatec CSL Elite, which is a belt drive with a max output of 6 Newton meters of torque, which is already pretty strong. So I think Max was really surprised by the amount of strength that the Force People was able to put out in the torque there with the road effects and the curb stones. But anyway, yeah, we're getting ready for the final wildcard round here.
So we've got KAR Gaming on the live chat saying hi. So welcome to the live stream. We're doing a winter special 1v1 tournament, bracket style racing, winner takes all. Doing our last wild card round between Senna Haywire and Robin Herterstegen. Haywire will be in the Mercedes AMG Petronas, while Herterstegen will be in the Haas. And I believe, Senna will be starting. Yeah, so highest finish position will start second. So Senna is on pole. So Herterstegen has had the better finishing position throughout the course of the season between these two. Lights out. It's time to run with LeBrun. Good start by both drivers, and it's pretty equal. Looks like Haywire is going to get a little bit of better run up the hill through turn one. Herterstegen cuts that corner a little bit, and he's losing a lot of ground to Senna as they come down the straightaway, but he's going to have the slipstream. See if he can catch back up heading down into turn three. And around the outside, Haywire almost pushes him off the curb. Herterstegen trying to do a little bit of a crossover move, trying to get the power down. And Senna's car is all over the place. A lot of twitching going on. I know these guys are running really low downforce for this track and for this one-lap shootout. To the inside goes Herterstegen. Late on the brakes, cuts the corner a little bit. Senna trying to come back with a crossover move, and now they're side by side. They bump wheels. Herterstegen's going to have the inside line, but oh, they make contact.
Oh, it's over.
And Herterstegen, a little too much contact.
Yeah, it was hard to say whose fault that was there, but Senna Haywire also with a really late move in the brake zone of turn 3, and I'm not sure if Herterstegen got enough space there on the inside. It was really hard to see from the shot that I was looking at. But anyway, Senna Haywire coming through the final corner. He's going to win the final wildcard round and will also move on to the quarterfinals.
1:10.7:21. It's one of the slower times we've seen from the times today, but congratulations to Senna moving on to the next round. That was actually a pretty good race. Looks like these guys were really struggling for grip. I know they're not as seasoned as some of the other drivers that we've seen, but a lot of twitching going on. I think Robin was struggling with the brakes because I don't think he's used to carrying that much speed into these corners. You figure these guys are probably running almost no downforce whatsoever, and just a couple extra miles per hour and your braking point will kind of throw you off. So once again, don't pay attention to that. Senna is your winner. He will be moving on to the next round. And Aleski saying both Mercs are through. So that was Ivan Brito and Senna.
Yeah, good to see Senna Haywire taking the advantage here, and with both Mercedes cars going through. Very unfortunate for Robin there, because it looked like he was squeezed a little bit on the inside in the quick left hand there of turn 6, but it was hard to see really. Maybe he just understeered into Senna Haywire. But it's very easy, of course, to let something like that happen in a one-lap race like this. And also the race stewards are added straight away. So they have actually decided there's no penalty, and it was indeed a racing incident, and probably more go through to the quarterfinals officially. No penalties given.
So that does it for all of our wild card rounds. That'll move us into the quarterfinals. So this is where we will finally get to see Jerome Adamaco, I believe, should be the next driver that we see. I don't know who he's going to be going up against. I haven't checked the bracket, obviously, but we can try.
Yeah, but we'll see if the bracket will get updated now to all the quarterfinals.
So it will be Jerome Adamaco going up against Jamie Jägerstrom. Jamie Jägerstrom ran a 1:08.540 in his first race, and that's actually Looks like that's the fastest time of the day so far, is a 1:08.5. So good on Jägerstrom, but he's going up against Jerome Adamako, who is extremely fast.
Yeah, Jerome Adamako, he's been so impressive in his rookie season as well in SRL. Of course, winning his first race in Las Vegas, although that was after the race because of a late race penalty, but then he immediately followed it up with an actual victory on track, and he also won in Abu Dhabi last time round, defeating Jensen Randall, which is an impressive feat on his own, and especially if it's for the victory, of course. So yeah, really strong start to the season for Jerome Adamako. Very, very impressive indeed. And also, I remember Austin earlier this season. I wasn't there because I was in Zolder at the Euro NASCAR race, and I just happened to tune in at the right moment during the last lap of that SRL race in Austin, where Jerome Adamako was fighting for the victory, and he just missed out. I think he had a couple of moments as well in the last lap. It was really good to watch, amazing racing, and he just missed out on the win there. But he has already picked up, I believe, 3 victories, hasn't he, this season so far?
Yeah, and it should be noted that Las Vegas win, I mean, even though he got it because of post-race penalties, that race in and of itself, he was racing with one leg, basically. He had surgery on his leg earlier in the season, so he was actually not using 2-foot braking. In fact, he didn't even bother using
that's right.
his leg to brake. He was actually set up the controls on his rig. So he had a brake button on his steering wheel, so he would accelerate with his right leg and then use his pinky finger, of all things, to control the braking of the car. And really, I mean, super impressive to lose no time with a very odd setup like that. But good on him for bringing that home. I believe his leg it's not completely healed, but it's healed enough now where he is back to 2-foot driving, good old go-kart style. Gas is on the right, brake is on the left, no bumping.
Yeah, it's also really good to hear that there were no further like complications in his leg or whatever, because there was some like worries there that might have been something else, but luckily that's not the case. So indeed he can fully recover now, and yeah, it is so impressive that he managed to be so fast, indeed, with a handicap like that and having different controls, because to have that accuracy and that finesse using your fingers to
actually, we're just now getting an update from SRL. Apparently, Jerome is back on a pad. He had surgery this week and got home from the hospital yesterday, so possibly he is having some issues and complications. So it's good to see him today. Yeah, it's definitely good to see him for sure. I know when he had his original surgery, he tried to do a race on pad, and that ended in a DNF. So, I mean, luckily he's only got to do one lap at a time here, but kind of disheartening to see that he had to have surgery again and is just getting back from the hospital as of yesterday. So, Jerome Adamako be in the Alpine, Jimmy Jägerstrom in the Williams. So, certainly, aside from the racing, we do wish Adamako a speedy recovery. That is a little disheartening to hear. I don't want to give out too much of his personal information, so bit of a struggle that he's having.
Indeed, apologies for the misinformation there, because I also wasn't aware of that. But yeah, that's a shame to hear, definitely, and hopefully he's still alright and can also still get round for this one today here. But he's going to be on the pad, which is definitely a bit of a disadvantage.
If anything, this will be some good practice for moving into the next official round of the Formula One Championship.
Definitely, and yeah, good to see that he's made such a good start to the season. Also racing in the German karting championship in the same series as Sandro Julis, to name someone, which is also part of the Saudi World Series, where Jerome is also very, very fast. So he's fast in karting and fast with F1 League racing. And I also participated in a couple of rounds in the Dutch karting championship, which is also part of that same Saudi World Series. So that's good to see. I actually did one of the races in the endurance class with Sandro and Dion as my teammate in Lelystad in the Netherlands. We did one of the 3-hour endurance races. And I also did a couple of other endurance races with some other mates. So it's good to do some real life karting races as well with some of the guys from SRL, and good to see Sandro and Jerome also participating in the German Championship over there. And
yeah, always good to see the SRL guys. Obviously you guys started this as a dream. You always wanted to be a real F1 driver. I mean, some of us obviously aren't going to make it there, but to get some real life experience doing stuff like that, and then you see, a lot of former SRL drivers. Francis McGinn has gone on to have a pretty good, I don't know if it's iRacing or what you would want to call it, but online racing career. I mean, it should be noted. What is it? Vasilios Veliciotis. Vasilios. Yeah. I mean, he legit straight up beat Max Verstappen in real life at the 24 hours of Nürburgring or Le Mans?
It was Nürburgring, yeah.
The 24 hours of Nürburgring on iRacing straight up beat Max Verstappen. And then you have Reese March, who's probably the closest thing we've got to a real race car driver that's a former SRL participant. So Reese doing a lot of cool stuff over there, I guess, in the England area.
Definitely,
racing
yeah,
all kinds of fun stuff, and he's a driving instructor some days, and then some days he's racing Mazdas and Fiats and everything else in between.
Yeah, it's really good to see Reese March being so involved with real life motorsport, and indeed Vasilis Belichotis being part of the Williams esports team, and Francis McGinn is actually part of the Ferrari esports team. So he actually also made it into the finals, which were run during the F1 weekend in Abu Dhabi. So he was there as well, actually, on location. So it's awesome to see Vasilios, Francis, and also Reese then in the real life motorsports, being so involved and really achieving lots of good things there.
So here we go, Adamako and Jägerstrom. Jägerstrom in the Williams, Adamako in the Alpine and on the pad. So we're going to see what these guys can make happen here. And it looks like Jägerstrom's got a good start over Adamako. Adamako trying to keep just in touch, loses a little bit of time through turn one. He's going to have that slipstream coming down the straightaway. This is really your best chance to try and make a move is coming into this corner. Now, Adamako, late dive to the inside. Oh, and they're going to make a little bit of contact there. He's going to give up the spot, give it back to Jägerstrom, get back in line, see if he can get that slipstream one more time to the downhill right-hander. Looks like he's a little too far back to make a move.
Yes,
he does close the gap a little bit.
He had a very tight line. Yeah, he lost a bit of drive there on the exit as well after he made that dive into turn 3. But Jamie Jägerstrom still with about a 3-10 advantage, but Adamako still definitely in striking distance.
Looking real tight through the left-handers, and then coming out of that final chicane there, he loses a bunch of time, got some aero wash over the front nose. Adamako going to throw it into the final couple of corners here, but I don't think it's going to be... Oh, Adamako around the outside. It doesn't matter, though. He's going to pick up a 2-second timing penalty. So Adamako gave it his all. And Jägerstrom a 108.160, and they crash at the end of the lap. That's to be expected.
What an attempt from Jerome Adamako there in the final corner. Just trying to track extend and get as much speed as possible. But yeah, of course he got a penalty for it. But good effort there, and good on Jamie Jägerstrom for winning the quarterfinals here, and he will now go into the semi-final.
So one of the favorites is out in his first attempt, unfortunately. Jerome Adamako losing out to Jamie Jägerstrom. Jägerstrom running the fastest lap of the tournament so far with a 108.160. He ran the fastest lap in the wild card rounds at a 108.5. So he picks up 0.4 of a second in his second run. Beats out third in points in the championship, Jerome Adamako. And as we talked about, Adamako struggling a little bit. Looks like he's driving on the pad, having some surgery this past week. So obviously we hope he makes his recovery for the next actual F1 race, which will be on December 28th. That'll be the Monaco Grand Prix once we come back from Christmas. So hopefully speedy recovery for Adamako for that. But right now, Jägerstrom moving on to the semifinals.
So next up, we're gonna see Alex Benechetti against Noah Smith.
So Benechetti, we talked a lot about in his first outing, Season 2 champion. And then Noah Smith. Noah Smith, another driver that has shown flashes of speed throughout the course of the season.
Certainly, yeah. I remember fighting for the podium in the leading group with Noah Smith and also Sandra Julius last season, where I think Noah Smith on the last lap made contact with myself and Sandra. I think Sandra had to go straight on. I half lost it, and I think Noah Smith ended up getting the podium there, I believe, getting second place and Sandra third. But I remember being in the leading group with, well, him among a couple others, and in other races as well, we have sometimes seen him be part of, the front runners here and there. Not consistently, but he definitely can be up there in some rounds. So
I think Noah's biggest issue is race strategy versus his raw speed, because he's fast enough to compete with the guy up, the front runners, but often doesn't make the right pit call or tire call, in times under pressure like that. So, but I think here in the one lap shootout between these two, Noah Smith is one of the only other drivers to run a 1:08 lap time, where Ben Ricchetti was running a 1:10. So Alex is going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to try and beat Noah Smith. Now, I believe Ben Ricchetti should get the better starting position, if I'm correct.
Yeah, correct.
So Sir Nas will be in the Williams, and Ben Ricchetti, I know you're rooting on for him to hopefully take this.
Yeah, secretly I am, to be honest. That would be really cool to see. But of course, nothing against Noah Smith. But yeah, I definitely have a bit more of a connection to Alex Benechetti, let's say.
Again, season 2 champion, beat you out all those years ago. And it's, again, we're 10 seasons into SRL F1 racing. This is the anniversary season. And, always good to have an old veteran from when it began. There's still quite a few of you. You, Sandro, Sam Brandt, Dion Stahl, Ben Ricchetti's back. But then you have other guys like Tim Ventic. I mean, he's a season 5 champion, so he's been here with us for a while. And obviously Jensen Randall's a 3-time champion. He's been with us for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty unique thing about SRL. I think the fact that quite a few drivers that have come here are so loyal, and how it has really become a friends group between a lot of us, and especially, of course, between Sandro, Dion, and I, and Tim Venting as well. And indeed, Sam has been part of the group for a long time. Of course, you have been involved with SRL for a very long time, ever since season 3, and a couple of drivers returning. So it's really nice to see how we have this SRL family, which really stays pretty intact over the course of the years. Of course, a lot of people come and go as well, but to have this sort of core of the group still actually remaining and being part of it is really cool to see, in my opinion.
So getting ready to do the next round here. Looks like Fun Oreo is going to leave the live chat, unfortunately. Anthony Johnson saying, have a good day, everyone. Good racing. So glad he stuck with us for a little while. Anthony Johnson used to run in a couple different online leagues. Tried running his own league there for a little while. Unfortunately, never quite gained enough traction to materialize into anything and substantial. But very fast racer. I keep trying to get him to join SRL, but I think his racing days are behind him, unfortunately. But good to have Anthony with us for while he was here. So as with anybody, you can check us out on the live chat. Feel free to chime in. Noah Smith was, who's racing now, was cheering on Jamie Jägerstrom, so go team at Williams. So Ben Ricchetti starting in the pole position, the 5 at red lights. They are out there off. And a good start by Noah Smith. He's going to have an inside line to Ben Ricchetti in turn 1. Ricchetti cuts across. Good defensive driving, no contact made. They run down the straightaway. Coming down into turn 3. Noah Smith's going to have that slipstream, but he's a little far back to try and make a move. Oh, big lock up there by Ben Ricchetti that allows Noah Smith to catch up. They both get a little squirrely coming out of that corner as they try to get the power down. Down the straightaway
well
into the
done
next
for
corner.
Alex Benechetti did well to really carry the momentum there in turn 1 and keep the lead without making contact as well. And Benechetti still holds the advantage to go into turn 6 and turn 7, this quick section of the circuit. You really want to be in front here because this is where you really need the downforce. And Noah Smith is going to feel the effects of the car in front of him here. They're up over the rise of turn 8.
But
Now
Noah Smith's
into
got to run
the
coming out of
penultimate
that corner.
Smith is going to have a look there on the outside here.
Oh, and they make
defends
contact.
the inside line. Noah Smith chops off his wing. Benechetti has to defend line to the final corner. Who's going to get the run to the line
Noah
here?
Smith is a drag race down the front straightaway, and it looks like Noah Smith's going to pull it off.
109.003. Noah Smith just gets on the line by 0.3 of a second. That is tough for Alex Benechetti, but well done, Noah Smith. That was a really good race, and that was definitely the closest finish we've had in this 1v1 tournament today.
Now we are going to see if there's any updates on post-race penalties. A little bit of contact there. Look at that, 107 flat and a 107 flatter is what that is. Or 109, I should say, not 107.
Yeah, so I guess that means that it was actually only 63 thousandths of a second on the line. So it was even closer than 0.3. It looked closer as well. Because I guess, of course, the timing starts at the same time for both of them, despite, of course, not starting on the same grid slot. So, yeah, that probably means that it was only just over 600ths of a second on the line there. Which is crazy. That was really close.
As you said, as by far the closest race we've had. Benechetti League chat coming on saying, wow, so that was the closest race we've had, probably in the 1v1 history.
Yeah, probably, actually.
And Benechetti had that all the way up to probably the last couple of corners there. Noah Smith really threw it in, second to the last corner. Made a little bit of contact, lost his front wing. Well, didn't lose the whole front wing, lost the end plate, but really threw it in there, so...
Yeah, that was really close. And indeed, I thought Alex Benechetti had it covered there because he was in front in the penultimate corner and he took that defending line. And then even Jamie got that front wing damage, but then he just was somehow able to carry more speed into the final corner and still get the drag race one to the line. So that was definitely, he definitely went all in the final corner there.
So here's an interesting matchup. We've got Sandro Dulius and Ivan Brito, and I would say two gentleman drivers. We've talked about Ivan a little bit. Even when he does have a DNF, it's often a mistake of his own. Generally doesn't take another driver with him. Very good defensive driver. Same can be said for Sandro. Sandro rarely has a DNF, and the few times that he does, it's either at the cause of somebody else or of his own mistake. Actually, we saw that in Abu Dhabi. He made a rare mistake coming out of turn 1, powered down too early, lost it over the curb, and wrecked the car by himself. And that was the first time Sandro's had a DNF all season. So, two really clean drivers for the most part. Sandro obviously more seasoned, more podiums and more points, so it might be a little bit of a quicker driver, but I think this is going to be a good matchup heading into this round. And obviously, Ivan will get the pole position due to the finishing positions.
Correct, yes. And correction as well there on myself, because I think I might have accidentally said Jamie there when I met Noah, of course, in the last round, getting my Williamses mixed up. But yeah, I was also really surprised to see Sandro Dulius crashing out in Abu Dhabi, because also then I just happened to tune into the live stream and I just saw him lose on the exit of turn 1 in the shot, of course. So yeah, that was unfortunate for him, but it's very uncharacteristic because Sandro is often so consistent, and nowadays it's very rare to see a mistake for the Greek-German driver. And yeah, he's going to be standing behind Ivan Brito, so he's going to have the advantage at the start. But yeah, no denying that Sandro Dulius is a very fast and competent driver. So we'll see if he can actually get the run on the Portuguese driver.
Benechetti and Noah Smith congratulating each other on their race.
Yeah, that's always good to
GG's
see. Nice
to everyone involved there. It was really hard racing, so...
Yeah, well done Noah Smith and well done Alex Benechetti, because you definitely put on a show, and good to see that there are frustrations there, despite the contact as well in the penultimate corner.
Well, and you brought up a good point. I mean, it's pretty clear with Austria the way it is. But once you come out of, once you get to those two left-handers, if you're the car in front at that point, you're probably the one that's going to win the race. And Noah Smith, disproved that it can be done.
Yeah.
But you've got to go very hard. Throw caution to the wind and just throw the car in there and hope for the best. And that's what he did. And it actually looked like, a couple instances there, he was actually backing the corner up a little bit so he could get better acceleration out of the corner, whereas Bennett Ricchetti was going a little bit deeper into the corner up front. So it was really good. Two different driving styles there with the braking. And, man, definitely played out in a one-lap shootout. That was, what did you say, 63 hundredths of a second difference? I mean, it doesn't get a whole lot closer than that.
Yeah, I'm just reviewing it, and indeed they were still pretty much alongside each other. Like, I think Noah Smith was less than a car length ahead. And yeah, he got the run on the exit of the final corner because indeed Beniccetti just took the line a little bit too narrow to, of course, try and defend the position. He tried to close the door, but then just paid the price on the exit a little bit there. And yeah, Noah Smith was able to get the better exit because he just drove out of the final corner so well and had that, more wide line on the entry. But yeah, definitely good racing for the both of them.
So getting ready to start the next one, Sandro Dulius versus Ivan Brito in a heads-up one-lap race to see who's going to move on into the semifinals.
Yeah, so this is the third out of fourth 1v1 session of the quarterfinals bracket. And indeed, all of these drivers. So in this instance, Sandro Dulius and Ivan Brito will qualify for the semi-finals, and then of course we're only gonna have two groups to qualify for the actual final. Yeah, I can't believe I actually made it all the way into the final last year and then just completely bottled it in the end.
It's very Niek of you.
Sure, yeah, and then trying to even compensate for it with a complete dive from into the final chicane.
So here we go, 5 red lights. Lights out, Ivan Brito, Sandro Dulius heads up. Ivan Brito gets a good start running up the hill. Sandro, he throws it in there. A bit of a lock up there by Ivan. You see Ivan struggling to get that power down. Looks like he's got like no downforce on the rear of that car. His car was struggling to get the power and traction the last time we saw him. Sandro's going to try and go around the outside. Ivan locks up that right front. Good move by Ivan Brito there. A little bit defensive line coming out of the corner. Sandro's going to try and get the slipstream, tucks in behind him. Ivan's all the way down on the grass. And Sandro's going to make the move before they even get to the next corner. Ivan throws it in, tries to get a crossover move done. Can't get there, but he's all over the gearbox of Sandro Dulius as they head into the left-handers.
Yeah, it was crucial there for Dulius to actually get a full car length ahead already before going into the braking zone of turn 5 there. Dulius still in front. Timers run out for Ivan Brito there. He's up over the rise of turn 8, but he is still 2 tenths behind, and he's probably too far to make a move into this one line penultimate corner. So Sandro Dulius here holding on to the victory. Oh, Ivan Brito, big moment for him, and that's going to do it. Sandro Dulius is going to move on to the semi-finals. 108.777.
Wow.
Which is the third fastest lap we've seen today, only behind the 2 laps set previously by Jamie Jägerström. So, Sandro Dulius will move on. Ivan Brito is done for today. So we will see Jamie Jägerström, Noah Smith and Sandro Dulius in the semi-final. And now it's going to be decided between Senna Herweyer and David Rod, who's going to be the 4th and final driver to make it into the semi-finals. But yeah, I really wonder how the setup and downforce levels are for these drivers, because like you said, I think it would make sense to run lower aero than what you would in like a race trim setup. because you really want to have that straight line speed because you don't want to be a sitting duck on the straight, and you can get away with just defending in the corner as long as you are in front, of course. But then again, it's also going to be a disadvantage if you're the car behind to, yeah, really lose that grip in the front end, or even in the rear end, like we saw with Ivan Brito in the penultimate corner there. I think he had a moment where he lost the back end and had to correct it and completely went wide. So yeah, it's definitely tricky to set the car up for one lap, and it's almost yeah, you're almost relying on actually being in front or not, on whether you want to have a really slippery car in a straight line or whether you want to have the grip in the corners. I think there might be some microphone issues there again for Lance because I just heard a slight echo and then nothing else after that. So anyway, we're gonna get ready for the fourth and final quarter-finals 1v1 in this 2024 tournament. So this is going to be the final qualifying for the semi-finals between Senna, Herweijer, and David Roth. And Jamie Jagers from Noah Smith and Senna Dooley's are all through to the penultimate session of the day.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Son of a bitch.
You just have to like reconnect it or something.
I guess I thought I had it fixed after the debacle, I think in Abu Dhabi or Las Vegas. I can't remember which race we had.
Yeah, I think it was Las Vegas. Unfortunately, where on the last lap your mic cut out, despite the race being really exciting, of course. But yeah, of course you weren't aware of it.
Again, I will try and get it fixed before we head to Monaco. So David Rod and Senna Haywire. Yeah, I would think David Rod has this in the bag, but I thought the same thing about Jerome Adamako. So who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think David Rod is definitely a faster driver than Senna Herweijer, without wanting to disrespect him, of course. But David Rod has definitely been also this season really strong, also winning the first round of the season in Bahrain and leading the championship in the early stage. And still he is still up there being competitive in the races, the number 75, and he is gonna of course start in second place because of that, because he is currently in P4 in the championship on 85 points. So it's definitely been a very positive start to the season for the Romanian driver. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, in a single lap there's a lot that you can do, and also for Senna just trying to throw everything at it to defend, and who knows, maybe he can actually come out on top again.
I mean, as we've seen with some of the other drivers, I mean, it is a single lap shootout, and one single mistake can ultimately cost you that race win.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and David Rod's been known to be a little over-aggressive, trying to make some moves. So, I mean, that could definitely be a factor. You have to watch your race aggressiveness, obviously. Senna did a great job beating out Robin Herterstegen in his opening round. So, perhaps today's the day for Senna Haywire. You never know. I was talking to Sandra earlier in the week, and I had my reservations. I thought it was going to be, relatively easy for some of these drivers to move along. But, he said, after last season, it's kind of obviously you raced in last year's thing, almost won it. And I guess that's what he was referring to. Anything could happen under these one-lap circumstances. So we'll see if David Rod betters than Jerome Adamako, who was another race winner and race favorite going into today's 1v1.
Yeah, because I also definitely didn't expect it last year to go all the way into the finals. But you are sort of also relying on luck, of course. You need to be a bit lucky, just end on making a mistake, and also not like being on the receiving end of some, really defensive driving or something like that. Of course, it's so easy to just get called out or to just overstep the marks, or maybe not anticipate somebody defending or attacking you in an aggressive way, which of course happens in these 1v1. So yeah, it is definitely, I think, a very interesting concept, and it creates for some really exciting single laps, and also yeah, it's pretty unpredictable to see who's actually going to make it to the final. And
looks like we got
also,
Jesper Lempinen on the live chat, so it would have been interesting to see him participate in today's festivities.
definitely would have, yeah. Good to see you tuning in, Jesper. I wanted to add to that as well, that it's really nerve-wracking to just, do a single lap race, and then you have to wait for like half an hour again until the next one, then you have to wait half an hour again, and just to prepare yourself for one lap, you're just trying to sort of play out all the scenarios in your head and just focus on just going flat out and concentrating for like 1.5 minutes. Yeah, it's kind of like a one-shot qualifying, but it's, it actually counts for progressing to the next session. And especially when you get close to the final, you really want to win it, of course. And yeah, you definitely feel the nerves before the start of a single lap race like that, where, of course, also all the attention is on you because, well, we're just looking at 2 cars, so everybody's watching you.
True. I mean, only 2 cars on the track. So here we go. David Rod in the Kick Sauber, Senna Haywire in the Mercedes-AMG Petronas. Lights out. Hopefully we don't lose me again. And they're running up to the top of the hill. David Rod's already going to get to the inside. Senna Haywire is going to give him a little bit of a bump and run coming out of the corner. Senna Haywire's got the slipstream coming down into turn 3. He's going to try and get to the inside. They bang wheels. A little bit of argy-bargy there as they head into the corner, and Haywire's going to go deep on the brakes. He's going to cut off David Rod. He's going to push him to the outside. Good defensive driving by Senna Haywire. Rod's going to get the slipstream as they come down into turn 3. Would this be 3? This is 4.
Correct, it is turn 4, yeah. The really late move there for Senna Haywire to move on the brakes, and David Rod completely outbrakes himself there and definitely damages his front wing. That's going to cost him crucial downforce here in this fast bit of the circuit. He's still got some of his wing intact. He tries to hang it on the outside there of turn 6 amazingly, but gets to hang out to dry. He was forced into the gravel trap there. Somehow is still close to the back of Senna Haywire as we go over the rise into turn 9 and 10, the final 2 corners of the circuit. David Rod still close to the Mercedes in front of him.
Big switch there going into that corner.
Move into the final corner,
and he gets a good run coming out of the corner. It's going to be side by side. Haywire's going to run him all the way down to the wall.
It looks like Senna Haywire just came out on top there with a 111.2. Wow, the fact that David Rod was still able to keep it in there despite the damage was definitely impressive in itself, but it looks like the unexpected has happened, and Senna Haywire seems to be true into the semi-finals, although the stewards might have something to say about that.
Yeah, there was a lot of aggressive driving there towards the end of that. Now, the initial contact, David Rod losing his wing, I think that's a testament to a driver who is fast and good at late braking, and a driver who is not as fast and maybe a little hesitant onto where his braking point should be. It looked like Haywire braked a little bit sooner than David Rod anticipated, and absolutely, I'm surprised Rod even had a front wing after that contact. Literally slamming into the back of Haywire's car. Now, I think the contact that you're talking about is the contact down the front straightaway. A lot of bumping and banging, and Noah Smith saying Senna was ahead at the apex. That's not necessarily what we're referring to here. It's the contact of going to the line, I think, might be under review.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like Senna tried to squeeze him towards the wall there, but David also drove very aggressively and also drove into Senna, so I think they were both pretty dirty, and the stewards are confirming that and backing that up. So it looks like Senna is going to go through because, yeah, they were both on the verge of dirty driving there, but it seems like there are no penalties dished out there at the end. So it looks like the result is going to stay like it is and nothing imposed by race direction.
Well, that's quite a turn of events. So the fastest drivers in the bracket today coming into the event was Jerome Adamako and David Rod. And they are both out after their first attempt.
Bless you. But yeah, good point, definitely. Yeah, we've certainly not expected to see these drivers make it to the end. So in the semifinals, we will have Jamie Jägerström taking it up against Noah Smith, and Sander Julius is going to be teamed up, I almost said, but it's not really teaming up, is it? He's going to go against Senna Haywire. So yeah, It's going to be very fascinating to see who's going to make it into the actual final, which is the only bracket left after this, of course. So first of all, we're going to see Jamie Egerstrom against Noah Smith.
So yeah, 2 races left to determine the final. And looks like Sandro has joined the party. Does Sandro have something to say on the league's behalf?
Yes, we're currently investigating the incident between Senna Hervaya and David Rod, or the multiple accident that happened during that 1v1 matchup. Obviously, Niek and myself being 2 of the driver stewards. And we both agreed that this matchup in general was just a little bit over the top, a little bit dirty, but from both sides. Of course, we had Senna Hervaya giving David Rod a little bit of a push into the gravel midway through the lap, and kind of rubbing against him on the run to the line. But also David Rod absolutely rear-ending Senna Hervaya into turn 4. So personally, I would go with this being just over the top hard racing from both sides. Personally, from my side, that would not be a penalty. And from what if I talked to Niek van Gelder, he agrees with that opinion. So we would stick with the result we had on track.
So Senna Hervaya is advancing to the semifinals in what has been a bit of a race upset. Obviously, David Rod, we talked about, one of the fastest drivers in the league, along with Jerome Adamako, both of those guys out in their first attempt at moving on. So Senna Hervaya will be actually going up against you, Sandro.
He definitely will be, as Sandro has already left the broadcast here.
That part.
Yeah, indeed. Good to have the confirmation there that we will not have a changed result, so it's going to stay like it was. And yeah, indeed, Senna Hervaya will take it up against Sandro in the second bracket of the semi-final after we decide and find out who is going to win it between Jamie Egerstrom and Noah Smith.
So Egerstrom and Smith, that's the 2 Williams, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Good to see the teammates also finding each other in this tournament. So yeah, Noah Smith is actually in 7th in the championship, and right after him is Jamie Egerstrom in P8. So Jamie will have the advantage starting from pole position. But yeah, they are actually consecutively ordered in championship standings with P7 and P8. So that also probably suggests that they are pretty similar in terms of pace and racecraft. So it's going to be interesting to see the Briton and the Dane taking it up to each other to qualify for the final. Now the pressure is starting to get on.
So this will definitely be interesting to see teammates. This will be a good testament to see how well they play as teammates.
Exactly, yeah. Also, Alexi saying Senna goaded, Noah Smith class racing. Well, I think that might have been a little bit sarcastic. But anyway, hopefully this penultimate race of the semifinals is going to be slightly cleaner. As on my own live chat, we also have Bas van Zijp tuning in. Good to see you. That's one of my co-workers from Race Planet. And yeah, the waiting times indeed do take a little bit long because of course we have to wait for the drivers to load in and the brackets to update and all that, but we will get started shortly.
Now, we do appreciate Sandro dropping in to give us that league update. We tried saying earlier that all the racing incidences will be reviewed, in real time basically. So appreciate the update, and then obviously the league itself coming over to the live chat to let everybody know.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like David Rod is not really agreeing with the decision there, saying that he felt like he wasn't aggressive. But I think, yeah, of course, I really don't blame any of these drivers for being aggressive, because that's what racing is and that's what you do, because you want to win and you want to try everything at it to come out on top. But I think we definitely saw some aggressive driving from both of them there, which is also why there were no penalties, because yeah, there was definitely quite a lot of contact on that previous round. And Rod is saying that he was pushed out of the track and brake tested. Well, I mean, yeah, we definitely saw David. Well, indeed, we saw him being pushed off in turn 6, wasn't it? The first of the quick left-handers. And, well, brake checking, that's another way to look at it. Because there was definitely contact from behind for Senna, and indeed, which also damaged your car, David, from the front. But I think it's pretty harsh to call that brake checking, but of course we are not on the track and it's sometimes hard to judge as well from the outside. I can definitely imagine that Senna has his braking points a little bit earlier because, you know, he is not as familiar or as fast of a driver as you are, David, so that might have had something to do with it as well. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that it felt like brake checking for you and that you felt like the decision there was not fair. But yeah, the decision was made by the stewards to not penalize it, and we're gonna go through with the final, or the first of the semifinals now. But yeah, maybe it seems like from your point of view, David, it might have not been the way that we saw it.
Hopefully I'm back.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
It got out again.
I think, well, like I said earlier with David's driving, you know, David's obviously a faster driver, so
yeah,
I think
just made
he's
the same
used
point
to,
these, yeah.
you know, right, exactly. He's probably braking in a much deeper braking point than he's more accustomed to with a car like that in front of him. So, and I don't think that David's initial contact was aggressive, but it wasn't malice. Is the difference. You know, and I think after that, you know, Senna's obviously going to try and do everything he can to try and defend that position. He's only going to, and I think a lot of that also alludes to the fact that those guys don't generally race against each other on circuit because obviously there's such a difference in pace. So I kind of agree with the decision as we get ready to go again.
So the two Williams teammates, Jamie Jägerström from pole and Noah Smith next to him. Of course, starting in second does mean you have the inside line, although he can't get the run into turn 1. So Jamie Jägerström still with the lead.
And Jägerström gets a great run coming out of the first corner.
He definitely did. 0.4 of a second as they go into the brake zone of turn 3. It's going to be crucial to get the exit out of this really slow corner, slowest corner of the circuit. Trying to just get on the power, get that traction down to carry that momentum onto the back straight.
And Noah Smith was a little smoother coming out of that corner, but it only garnered him a whole 1/10 of a second, so he's really going to have to throw it into this corner here, really try to make something work. He's locking up that right front, again, a little bit smoother coming out of that corner, then Jägerström closes the gap, another 1/10. Going to really have to try and throw it into these left-handers, though, to try and see if he can get anything to stick, but again, we got to fight that aero wash off of the car in front. Noah Smith trying to do everything he can. Here we go.
Can Noah Smith pull out something similar as what he did in the quarterfinals? They go into turn 9.
Oh, big twitch coming over that curb.
Looks like Jamie Jägerström has done enough. Noah Smith with the slipstream, but Jamie Jägerström just about holds on to the line. 107.815 fast lap we have seen today. And Jamie Jägerström is through into the finals.
Jägerström, a 107. That is the fastest lap we've seen all day as we watch these guys give high fives with their cars.
Lovely to see that between teammates. But yeah, that was definitely a good race between Jamie and Noah there. Clean as well. And yeah, Jamie Jägerström and Noah Smith both very fast. We can definitely see the lap times dropping and getting faster and faster. And
well, the interesting thing about that is that, you know, the lap times are dropping, especially for Jägerström. There's no actual track evolution. This isn't like qualifying where the track is going to ramp up and you're going to have more grip. This is just getting more comfortable with where your braking points are, maybe a little tweak in the setup, maybe a little bit more drop in rear drag. You don't know, but times are dropping for Jägerstrom, and right now he's definitely looking like the favorite to win this whole thing with lap times like that.
Yeah, I agree because he was already the fastest, of course. 108.5 in the wildcard session, then a 108.1 in the quarterfinals, and now at 107. So he keeps actually being the fastest driver out of all the sessions, apart from actually Sander Dooley's, who did a 108.7, which was just shy of what he did in the first one. So he was the fastest indeed in all 3 sessions. So good on Jamie there. I thought maybe Noah Smith was going to try something similar to what he did on Alex Benedetti in the final corner there, but he couldn't get it done. So we will now see Sander Dooley's, of course, against Senna Herweijer for the final position in the final.
So it's got to be said, it's interesting to see Senna make it this far into this. And, you know, I mean, obviously we could be looking at another upset here. You've got Sandro, who's, you know, as you just alluded to, he's been very fast. He's kind of been, you know, improving his lap times. But Senna, I mean, a lot of talk. He's very defensive and very aggressive. So we'll see how Sandro wants to play that out. Maybe learn something from David Rod's experience with him, and maybe pick up a few pointers on what to do and what not to do in this one-lap shootout against Senna.
Yeah, definitely. And what also really makes it interesting is the fact that, of course, the slower driver, let's say, who is lower down in the championship, gets to start in front, because that really makes it hard even for a faster driver to still get through, because it's always going to be difficult to overtake someone who is defending like crazy in a race that's only lasts 1 lap. So who knows? I mean, Senna Herweijer is probably already further than he expected at the start. And but of course, Sander Dooley is the faster driver overall. So let's say that he's going to be the favorite. But it's hard to really put your money on someone like we've seen in the previous finals and semi-finals. Yeah, David Rod is still complaining about Senna Herweijer here, which I definitely
quick
understand.
Update: the stewards, because Sandro is one of the stewards, this is being reinvestigated because the outcome ultimately affects who Sandro faces in the race. So his opinion is essentially what we would consider is biased. So this is being reinvestigated. So we'll have an update for you in just a moment.
Yeah, so indeed things are being reviewed.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Looks like we're going to have an update here for you on potential changes. Still waiting to get an official word. So just for anybody that's interested, the stewards panel is made up of, obviously, Sandro, key drivers that are very experienced. Obviously, Jensen Randall, who's a multi-time champion for SRL. Niek Gelder, who's a Season 4 champion. We do have some outside help from others that who have been a part of the league but aren't necessarily currently in the league. So this is all being re-reviewed in terms of the Senna Haywire and David Rod race. And the only reason that we're rechecking into this is because Sandro did make a decision on the event, but that ultimately affects who Sandro faces, so his opinion becomes biased in that case. So we have to re-review this without Sandro's vote in the incidences and take his decision completely out of the scenarios.
Exactly. So what happened is Jensen Randall, who's also part of the stewards panel, he tuned in and he was of the opinion that Senna Haywire should be penalized or disqualified for the incidents in the first semi-final, the last quarterfinal it was, against David Rod. And that would draw it 1-1 with Niek van Gelder obviously going with a racing incident, so no penalty. So our commentator here, LeBrun Fox, was the deciding factor and making the call on penalty yes or no. And Lance, in this case, decided to also put the more blame on Senna Haywire, which would make it 2-1 for penalty Senna Haywire. So we have to reverse the decision we had from the final quarterfinal. And David Rod moves on to the semi-final number 2 instead of Senna Haywire.
Okay, so that all clears it up. Yeah, it's never nice to have a result, of course, changed after the actual session, but it definitely makes sense, and I can definitely see where the stewards are coming from here, because indeed it was very sketchy driving and defending from Senna Haywire there, and especially I think where he forced David Rod off in turn 6 and also really tried to squeeze him into the wall on the run up towards the line was definitely on the limit and yeah, perhaps over the limit, as was deemed here by the race stewards. And yeah, mainly Jensen Randall and LeBrun. So we will have a new decision here with Senna Dooley's taking it up against David Rod in the semi-final. So that's unfortunate for Senna Haywire, but yeah, he definitely already did well to come as far as what he did. So he's going to be disappointed, I'm sure, but yeah, it's definitely a decision from the stewards that I think he must respect as well, because I think he also was aware of the fact that he was probably really pushing the limits there with how much he was allowed to defend there, because he definitely went slightly over marks and yeah, tried a little too hard to defend the position there, and also maybe slight confusion there with David Rod not really anticipating the moves and the breaking points from Senna Haywire, so it was all a bit of a concertina effect as well, possibly. But I think the stewards were mainly looking at the incident in turn 6 and after turn 10 in the run-up towards the line. And Senna is definitely furious with the decision here, because of course it is not that professional to come back on a decision and reverse a decision that was already made. So he's definitely very upset about that, because of course he was expecting to race in the semifinals here. But
can you hear me now?
Yeah, this is the. I can hear you now. Yes.
God bless it.
I think we're. At least it always happens while we're waiting for the race to start.
I appreciate. I'm glad you're in the booth with me today. This has been a mess. I don't know what's going on my end. I thought I had it figured out after a couple races ago, but I guess not.
Well, yeah, no problem. It can happen, of course. It's yeah, sometimes technology that just fails on you.
No, technology's great when it works, but man, when it doesn't, it's just awful.
Yeah, true. So yeah, I think the decision of course there was made mainly because of the incident in turn 6 where David Rod was squeezed over to the gravel trap, and also because Senna Hervé definitely moved over in the run-up towards the line coming out of turn 10. So yeah, good on David Rod for making it into the semi-finals here in this last semi-final to qualify for the final, and Senna Hervé definitely very upset about that. He was pretty mad in his comments, which he did privately, fortunately, but he definitely didn't agree with the decision and was not very amused about the fact that the decision was reversed after the initial decision was made, but that was because we had a
I mean, it is. I hate
bystander
that it has to come down to something like that. But
Yeah.
ultimately, Jensen brings up a good point. It was right because it would affect who Sandro races in this round as we get ready to kick it off. So Sandro against David Rod. The lights are out. And it looks like that's David Rod's going to get a pretty good start, but Sandro gapping him by about half a car length as they head up into turn 1. David Rod's going to have the slipstream as they head down into turn 3. Sandro all the way down to the white line, trying to take that defensive line away. Going to fade the car back up. David Rod to the outside, and a great move. Power to David Rod on the outside, trying to get it down. And he's out in front of turn 3. Sandro's going to have to slide in behind him and hopefully make a move down into turn 4.
A slight bit of slipstream there for Senna Dooley. Is he gonna make an attack? He is! He goes really late on the brakes in turn 4. David Rod is able to just crawl back underneath. He's gonna have the inside here for this left-hander, but Senna Dooley's with the inside into turn 6, and he still gets his car in front. Dooley's, he's just half a lap away from making it into the finals, though David Rod is really close together. Can Dooley's hold him off?
Over top of turn 8, coming into turn 9. David Rod, this is where they had the massive incident earlier. A little bit better. Oh, good exit for Sandro. David's going to try and arc the corner a little bit better. Gets a lot of speed coming out of that final corner.
Well done, Senna Dooley's 108.8, and he makes it into the finals.
So definitely a lot cleaner this time between David Rod and his opponent. And that's got to be a little bit of solace for Senna, knowing that David Rod will not be advancing into the final round. So he can take solace in that fact. It would have been insult to injury had David Rod won this race for Senna, but it is what it is. Sandro going to the finals here at the 1v1.
Yeah, great to see. And yeah, David Rod, at least he got a chance there to try and make it into the finals. But yeah, Senna Dooley's definitely cleanly defeated him. And yeah, really, really good from Senna there, because he had the outside in turn 3, wasn't it? And of course he lost a bit of drive. He had to tuck in behind and then made a really late move into turn 4. I thought he was gonna completely run wide, and I thought David Rod was able to just make the switchback, but he was half able to make the switchback. He had the inside for the right-hander of turn 5, but then of course Senna Dooley at the inside for turn 6, and he just carried the speed into the corner, got his car in front again, and just stayed in front. So really good racecraft for both of them, but definitely for Sandro to beat David Rod, who's also definitely a very competent driver. So yeah, well done,
David Rod
really
on the
drive.
live chat saying that he enjoyed that one. So much better result in attitude after this round versus him and Senna.
Yeah, that's some very good driving for David Rod as well, and good to see David, you know, ending off like this with a really nice and close and clean race. So yeah, glad David Rod got a chance there to have one more chance to try and qualify himself, but it was definitely good to see that David Rod enjoyed that one as well. And indeed, I think Senna Hervé might have been secretly hoping that he wasn't going to go through.
Yeah, that's
well
definitely
done
the
to both of
case.
them there.
So it's come down to this. Jamie Jägerstrom, Sandro Dooley. Jägerstrom, I would say, would have to be the favorite coming into this final round. He's been the only driver to really increase his time each and every time that he's gotten in the car for this 1v1. Each lap has been a little bit quicker than the last, and he's the only driver thus far to crack into the 107s with a 107.962 in his last outing. And realistically, that's a second faster than what Sandro just ran.
Yeah, good point. Jamie has been really quick in terms of the lap times, and he's of course lower down in the championship. He's in P8, Sandra's in P5, so he's gonna have the advantage at the start. So yeah, this is gonna be really difficult for Sandro to attack Jamie here and reverse that order by the end of lap 1. And Jamie is gonna of course look in his mirrors and make his Williams as wide as possible to keep the Ferrari behind him.
Well, yeah, and you bring up a great point. It's kind of a double whammy against Sandro because not only has Jamie been the fastest driver throughout the course of the day, but he's going to have the better starting position because he's lower in points, ultimately coming into the event. So Sandro's definitely going to have his work cut out for him heading into this race. It's kind of interesting to see how this would go. I feel like the final race should be a true 3-lap race. Maybe that's just me. I feel like you work this hard, maybe give it a little bit of extra emphasis on the final race, but we'll see how this plays out for him.
Yeah, a good point actually. It would be nice to have an actual race here for this final one, but we're just going to keep the same format as for all the other 1v1s. And yeah, also looking back at Jamie's season, he's been relatively consistent. He had a 4th place in Bahrain. He was actually leading for some moments in that race as well. I think he made a double overtake as well in Turn 1 at some point. I remember the race pretty well because I commentated on it. He had an 11th place in Austin, and then a 5th place in the 3rd round, I believe. And also had a 2nd place in Australia in both qualifying and the race. So that was already one of the more competitive races for him this season, and he's definitely been close to winning as well and being part of the leading group, like in that first race in Bahrain. But then of course Sandro has had a couple podiums as well, and I think a pretty interesting match here because both Sandro and Jamie are pretty fast and not really prone to make many mistakes. So
well, Ivan Brito saying that he's eating and watching the SRL stream, so good to know Ivan's still with us even though he didn't advance to the next round. Good effort on his part today. So good to see a lot of you guys have stuck with us. Heading into the final round, Jamie Jägerstrom, Sandro Dulius. I know Sandro would love to try and come out on top in this event. It's been a long time since he's really won a race. He finishes on the podium a lot, but it's been a while since he's won a race. So I know winning this would give him a little bit of a boost going into Monaco on the 28th next week. So, we'll see if he can carry that momentum through. I think all the drivers today, for the most part, tried their best and their hardest. There's a lot of discussion between Senna and Rod. I do feel, even though Senna was possibly a little over aggressive in his defending, I think it's good for Senna to race against a driver of that caliber of David Rod to give him a little bit better experience of racing guys that are faster than him. Unfortunately, when you're a guy like Senna Haywire or Robert Harderstegen, even Ivan Brito, you're kind of stuck racing some of the same guys in the back a lot. So I think it helps your racecraft when you get to race against somebody that's of a higher caliber like that. So hopefully Senna can take a little bit from what he learned from that and apply it into, the races moving forward with his career.
Yeah, actually a really good point there, indeed, because you always sort of get used to the drivers around you. And indeed, it can be so useful to race against drivers who are a bit faster than you, because you can really learn from that, both in sim racing and real racing as well, of course, and even in karting. Just being able to race closely with a really good driver, or follow them, really study their lines and see their techniques is really helpful to improving yourself as well. So indeed, I think Senna can definitely learn something from this, and it's always good to race with really good players, good drivers.
So here we go, the final round of F1 2024's SRL 1v1 Championship, the Winter Special.
I'm trying to think of the last time Senna Julius won a race. I think it might have been in Season 7. And Yeah, I think the last victory for Sandro Dulis was Spa Season 7 on F1 2021, which is also a very painful one for myself because that was a wet race at Spa. It was a really exciting race actually, and I thought I won it, but I got a penalty handing it to Sandro. Anyway, we're getting ready for the final here between Jamie Jägerström and Sandro Dulis.
Lights out. Time to run with LeBrun. They're away in a puff of smoke, and it's a good start by Jägerström. He's been the fastest driver all day. Runs up the hill. Gaps Sandro. He's already out to 2 car lengths. Sandro's going to have that slipstream coming down into turn 3. Is he going to be able to get close enough to make a move? Looks like he's got that car trimmed out as he gains a lot of ground, but Jägerström going to try and outbrake him. Rubbing wheels, gets the power down. They're side by side as they head down into turn 4.
And we saw that Dulis was able to break really late into turn 4, although this time he's on the outside. Jägerström there with the defending line. He's going to have the shorter distance into the corner. Dulis strikes the hang tough. Bit of contact there.
He loses the back end of the car. He hasn't given up on it, though. He's a half second back. He's still trying to stick with him.
That was really unfortunate for Dulis there. He just had a burst of wheel spin there, being hung out to dry on the outside, and surely that is now going to hand it to Jamie Jägerström in this final here for the 2024 edition of the SRL 1v1 tournament. Into the penultimate corner, Jamie Jägerström still holds the advantage, and it looks like he's going to take victory here in the 2024 1v1.
Good effort, a 108.4, not the fastest lap of the day, but the fastest lap of the race. Jägerström over Sandro Dulis by about a half a second, and if it wasn't for that one little twitch there getting called out on that outside of turn 4, might have been a little bit closer, but Sandro really had that car trimmed out. He gained a ton of ground coming down the straightaway into turn 3. It almost looked like he had DRS compared to what Jägerström was doing, so that car was really trimmed out, threw everything at him.
Yeah, really good driving for Jamie Jägerström there. He definitely showed all day that he really had the pace, and that he was arguably the fastest over that single lap. But Sandro Dulis came so close and also drove really well today, especially in the semi-finals there, to qualifying himself for the final against David Rod and now against Jamie Jägerström. It was really unfortunate that he just had that moment where he lost drive and the rear tires broke traction there on the exit of turn 4, maybe because he had a slight bit of gravel on the tires as well. I can't recall if he actually touched the gravel or not, but I think that might have caused him to lose some time there, and that really jeopardized his chances to try and attack Jamie there because he wasn't close enough anymore. So yeah, definitely a great show we have seen from Jamie Jägerström and Sandro Dulis and all the other drivers participating today in the 1v1 tournament. But congratulations to Jamie Jägerström, the winner of the 2024 SRL 1v1 winter tournament.
Looks like we've got some chatter going on behind the scenes. Possible. I'm checking the steward's room now.
So, is there gonna be repercussions? For that move into turn 4. Yeah, Jamie Jägerström had the inside line, of course, and
turn 4 incident's being investigated.
Yeah, so indeed Dulis, he was squeezed off a little bit there, and I think he touched the gravel there with the left part of the car, and the left front and left rear tire, and that made him just lose it. He was on the AstroTurf a little bit as well there on the green part just beyond the curbstones, which is also less grippy. Yeah, that is really tough to call, to be honest, because it looked like Jamie Jägerström left about a car's width, although Sandro Dulis' front right tire sort of got glued into the sidepod and sort of touched the left rear tire of Jamie Jägerström, which made Jamie sort of go to the left a little bit. I think that is partially down to the way the physics work on F1 24, where the cars kind of sort of tangle into each other and get glued into each other and sort of move towards.
Well, and Jamie is ahead at the corner. He has he's ahead by half a car length. Essentially, his nose is, and he's got the apex.
Yeah, there's no denying that Jamie Jägerström was ahead of the apex. And of course, this is a debate in real F1 as well very often, where of course the driver who is early at the apex has kind of the right of way, but then of course you still need to leave the space if there's still a car alongside you on the exit.
Well, and that's always been kind of confusing to me because you see so often in real life F1 drivers essentially pushing other drivers off with basically no repercussion. There's really no rule against running the car wide out of the corner.
They were ahead at the apex.
So I've made my indications clear, so we'll see from the other stewards involved what the case may be. As it stands right now, Jägerstrom won the race. We're waiting to get official announcement in this regard. But great effort by all drivers involved today. A lot of hard racing, a lot of upsets. Jerome Adamaco, again, out in his first effort. He didn't have to do the wild card round. He got moved into the quarterfinals because of points and driver lineup, so that was good for Jerome Adamaco. But he didn't, unfortunately, get to put that together with a good race and lost out in his first effort. In Senna Haywire, there was a lot of talk about Senna today. He did win his first race in spectacular fashion, but the one against, David Rod, obviously a little bit controversial, loses out. David Rod loses out then in his next round. And then Jamie Jägerstrom, fastest driver all day. In each round that he participated in, was absolutely the fastest driver of the bunch, not just in his race. So good on Jamie for putting that together. That says a lot about what he can do over the course of one lap. So perhaps some of the things that he learned today, he can apply to a qualifying setup at future Grand Prix, maybe improve his qualifying heading into some of these Grand Prix. A lot of guys today ran some I'm sure they ran some very obscure setups as far as drag and wing setups, try and get the most out of the car over one lap. Everybody ran soft, so you're going to have the most traction, the least amount of downforce, and it made for some spectacular side-by-side racing today that we saw. So good effort on everybody's part. So if you liked this type of action, this is a 1v1 bracket-style racing. This is the winter special that we do every year. Again, next week we'll go back to regular racing. It would be the Grand Prix of Monaco. Be round 10 for F1 24, season 10 for SRL. It's their anniversary season. So good on them for making it 10 years in.
Yeah, and it looks like there's not going to be any changes to the result there because it really is deemed as a racing incident. Yeah, I think it would have been too harsh for Jamie to get penalized for that because he definitely left a bit of space there and didn't completely push Senna Dulis off. So, yeah, I think it's a deserved victory for Jamie Jägerstrom as much as it hurts for Senna Dulis to have missed out on this final. He did really well to make it into the final, of course, and I think Jamie Jägerstrom deserves to go home with the trophy today. I've got to say, it is actually a really nice trophy because, of course, I lost out on it last year, and I'm actually kind of jealous that Max Mulder got that trophy because it definitely looks very nice.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we should point out to a lot of these viewers that join in just for the sake of it. But, yes, it is an online racing league, but Sandro himself does put together actual physical real-life trophies to send to the winning drivers of the championship and the 1v1. So you are actually racing for something, not just the sake of, I won an online league championship. Sandro really puts out to give actual trophies to these guys, and that's something that can't be said for a lot of these smaller online racing leagues like SRL. So good on Sandro for that. Congratulations to Jamie Jägerstrom. He is going to get that glorious trophy. And David Rod even saying on the live chat, for real, the trophy is amazing. So everybody knew what they were racing for. Unfortunately, Jamie's going to be the one to walk away with it today. But the trophy for the Drivers' Championship is still out for grabs. We're only going into round 10 next week. There's a lot of players still involved. Things are heating up between Jensen Randall and Jerome Adamaco. David Rod still in contention. Tim Ventic still second in points. So the real Drivers' Championship is still out for grabs.
I've got to say, that 1v1 tournament trophy almost looks nicer than the championship trophy. Although, of course, I wouldn't want to actually trade it in. I'm very, very pleased about my championship. But
Yes, Nick Van Gelder, season 4 champion, and it should be said, I've been doing this. I've been here since season 3. We often reference season 4. I think that was probably the best, most competitive season that SRL has had. And let's be honest, Nick, you really shouldn't have won that championship, but you did.
Yeah, I think that's a very accurate way of describing it, because indeed, of course, I was coming up against drivers like we discussed earlier, like Vasilios, and Francis
Vasilios
McGinn.
and Francis McGinn, two of the best successful drivers outside of SRL.
Yeah,
they were teammates.
Were really fast. Exactly, they were teammates, and they were without a doubt faster than I was. But yeah, I was just that season. Everything just came together in the sense that I was pretty consistent. I was, wrapping up podiums, and I was present for every single race apart from one in Barcelona. And also, I didn't have any DNFs apart from one race in Abu Dhabi, where I had massive tire issues. So I think the combination of consistency and also a lot of luck, just not getting caught up in other incidents, and the fact that, of course, Vasilios and Francis both did get caught up in incidents, even with each other, made it, sort of allowed me to stay close throughout that entire championship, and even in the end win it in a way where I definitely didn't expect it, especially at the start of the season. I didn't even think that I was going to be in the running, and it was only until about halfway through the season where I was like, hang on, maybe there's a chance here. But then, of course, I still knew it was going to be extremely difficult to beat Vasilios and Francis, and yeah, no doubt that they are faster drivers. And especially now, like what they've gone on to achieve is incredible, and how much they've grown. So it's really cool to see. And even Sandro Dulis was very fast that season as well, but he was also pretty unlucky. So in terms of pace, Francis or Vasilios would have deserved it. But I think even Francis won 8 races, and I only won 4. And in all of those 4 races, I did get pretty lucky. Like in Mexico and in Baku, I was on a better strategy. And I think, well, of course, in Brazil I won because Francis and Vasilios took each other out. And then I think there was one more race. I think that was Silverstone in the wet, where I also made a better strategy.
And obviously that Brazil race was the ultimate deciding factor in everything.
Oh man, I will never forget that race. So. Like that was amazing in terms of, like, of course, so much nerves and tension in the build-up towards it, and then just being behind Vasilios and Francis and just seeing them battle it out, and then just waiting for one of them to make a mistake, and then they both took each other off, and I just took the lead.
For those who are not familiar with SRL, you should all go back to season 4, watch the Brazilian race, and that was one of the key defining moments for this league overall. So, but congratulations to Nick, season 4 champion, winning that. But today is all about Jamie Jagerstrom. So congratulations to Jamie walking away with the trophy for the 1v1 Winterfest 24 bracket style racing. Winner takes all, so he gets to walk home with the trophy today. So congratulations to Jamie Jagerstrom. Like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Be sure to check us out on Instagram, SRL_F1. And tune in next week. Again, it'll be round 10. We'll be back to regular season racing, round 10, the Monaco Grand Prix for season 10 here on F124 on the PlayStation platform. I'm Kamikaze Fox. This has been Nick Van Gelder. We'll see everybody at the next round.